I am very tired. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning and I've been tossing back and forth in bed and cannot get back to sleep. And I know it's because I have a message that I need to share. Um, so it's now almost 5:30 in the morning and here I am sharing with you guys. Um, Alrighty. So I'm going to take this back. Oh, what is going through my mind, and has been going through my mind now for since my last video, is how late the hour is for us. Um, and the latest thing that I feel like Abba, Heavenly Father, has been impressing on me is to remember the prophecy of Ezra's eagle. And so I am going to go through that with you guys here in just a minute. But I want to remind you of my understanding of where we are in the timeline by just looking at the stars. So we started out, the last video I did was reminding us that on July 14th, that Mars was in conjunction with Uranus, which means heaven. And then I felt like because this was happening in Taurus, which represents the two tribes of Joseph, that, and remember, Ephraim is the firstborn among all the brethren here in this Latter-day Saga. I felt that there was going to be an increase in a spiritual war that we would be going through. And isn't it interesting the disgusting thing that happened just recently with the Olympics? And you notice that on 7/14, that was the day of the assassination attempt. And now Biden has stepped down, and the whole country is just in absolute turmoil over what to do about the upcoming election. And I think, though, that there is a tiny portion of people who are understanding that it doesn't matter who gets elected or even if there is an election. I think there's a tiny group of people that are understanding that in Isaiah 1, where it describes the daughter of Zion as being full of putrefying sores from her head to her feet, her head being those who govern her, and her feet, of course, the lowliest of citizen, there is no soundness. There is no soundness. And this thing that we call the United States of America, I'm afraid, has to come to an end because there is no soundness anywhere. Anyway, we'll get into that more as we get into Ezra's eagle. But so that was the beginning of what I was showing you guys. And then if we move forward a month, notice that Jupiter, which I think represents the kingdom of God, has now moved up into the horns of Taurus, and of course is more heavily in one horn than the other, which I think also is significant because remember, Ephraim is the firstborn of the two brethren, Ephraim and Manasseh. And the battle has now moved to the kingdom of God. So it now, I believe that it's going to be more of a physical battle. This is going to be an intensification. And how exactly that takes place, I can't tell you. But that's what I'm feeling in my heart that means. So get ready because it's coming. Um, um, Pause recording. Stop recording. How do I resume the recording? Oh, I guess it is going. Oh my goodness, what a mess. So the hot buttons that I use usually to control my recordings are actually the same hot buttons that are being used in YouTube here, and so it's messing me up. I'm gonna make a mess out of this video. I'm sorry, guys, but so I thought about just going into the scriptures and going through them verse by verse, but I've got to tell you, my world is so busy and overwhelming right now that I know I'm not going to have time to get through this. And I have watched many videos going all the way back to 2018 about Ezra's eagle. And most of them are very long, and I don't agree with a large portion of what they're saying. And so as I was pondering that, just this morning at 3:30 in the morning, I heard the Spirit tell me to go and search for Ezra's eagle again on YouTube, and I did. And I ran into this beautiful sister. Now, I'm going to tell you, for some of you guys, this may, well, right here, she's just going to do Ezra's eagle, but just the fact that she is a Mormon may offend some of you. But I think, let me tell you, I believe that Yah's people are going to come out of every single religion. They are being awakened, and we're at the last hour here, and some of them are still being awakened. And I will tell you, this is the first interpretation that I've seen that I agree with. This is the way that I would understand, that I do understand these scriptures, and she's already got it put together in a presentation. So what I want to do is watch it with you and pause it and bring out some points that I think can be added to this, some scriptures that can be added. And I love that it's only 17 minutes long. So she's done an amazing job. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so let's just go through a quick executive summary of Ezra's eagle. So here's the storyline. A powerful kingdom arises from the sea. This eagle is representative of the kingdom. She spreads her wings all over the earth. Her influence is felt everywhere. From the moment that this eagle is born, she has 3 heads that are described as kingdoms. The eagle also has wings and feathers. Those 2 words are used interchangeably. And we're told that they represent kings that reign one at a time. And the eagle also speaks from the midst of its body.
Right, so the midst of its body. It is the people, right, in the United States who are meant in this republic to be the voice of the republic, right? So it is the body of the people of the nation that speak. So that would make sense. Let's keep going.
So the eagle never talks from any of its 3 beaks. It's speaking from the midst of its body. So as you reflect on what type of a government could that be, you might come to the same conclusion that, sounds a lot like America. So as Ezra is watching this vision, he sees 2 versions of the eagle. So the first vision is the first kingdom that he sees, and I'm just going to call this the before kingdom. So in the before kingdom, the 3 eagle heads are at rest. There are 12 feathers that reign one at a time. And at the very end of this first kingdom, there are 2 contrary feathers that reign. We're never told why those feathers are contrary. We're just told that they are contrary. Then the vision changes, and he sees the second kingdom. Now, it's the same eagle, it's same body, same 3 heads, but now there are 6 new small contrary feathers that arise and reign one at a time. And in this second kingdom, the heads wake up and become active. Some of the attributes of this second after kingdom is that the kingdom is experiencing great strivings, a lot of peril, and a lot of death. By the end of the eagle, all 3 heads die, and 2 of the 6 wings will die. Now, before these wings and these feathers die, a lion appears out of the forest and reproves the eagle for some of its wickedness. And the kingdom falls.
Okay, so she never talks about the lion and who the lion is. So we're going to take a moment and do that. So we're going to go into the scriptures. So Ezra's eagle is talking about a mighty nation among the Gentiles. I believe it's talking about the United States. And so here we are in Micah chapter 5. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles, in the midst of many peoples, like a lion among the beasts of the forest, like a young lion among flocks of sheep, who, if he passes through, both treads down and tears in pieces, and none can deliver. Your hand shall be lifted up against your adversaries, and all your enemies shall be cut off. So this is a remnant of Jacob. These are, I believe, the true believers. And indeed, in the previous chapter, in Micah 4, he tells the daughter of Zion, arise, I'm in verse 13, and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make your horn iron, and I will make your hooves bronze. Okay, the horn and the hooves. This is the sign in the sky that I was showing you. This is the ox, right? And I will make your hooves bronze. You shall beat in pieces many peoples. I will consecrate their gain to Yahweh and their substance to Yahweh of the whole earth. Okay, so let's go back to the prophecy and learn some more. And by the way, Ezra, this is second Esdras or fourth Ezra. This is from the Apocrypha. It was part of the 1611 King James Version of the Bible, but was taken out later. So let's go ahead and keep listening.
It sounds very bleak, and I think that it is rather bleak. So let's get into it. All right, so this is just an illustration of the eagle. So you'll see there on the body of the eagle, I have the 3 heads. I think the 3 heads represent our executive, legislative, and judicial bodies of government. And you'll note that when you read this prophecy, these 3 heads are in verse 1.
Right. And I agree with her on this. This is exactly what I'm understanding as well. But she is going to mention, and she is right, that most of the people who interpret this actually see these heads as individuals. But I see it as the 3 branches, just as she does.
And that will be important for you to remember when you hear the prophecies of other people, because a lot of them are saying that these 3 heads are, end time leaders that come in, or they're foreign governments that come in. So just keep that in mind. So as I mentioned before, there are 12 feathers or wings on the eagle. The second feather has a great time, reigning twice as long as anybody else. He is told, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither into the half thereof. So there's only one president that fits that description in America, and that's Franklin Roosevelt. He was elected to 4 terms, and then they changed the laws so that presidents can no longer reign that long. They can only reign for 2 terms. So that one little point establishes identification of the rest of the leaders, and it gives us a sense of timing. So now we can back it up 1 and see that president number 1 on this eagle is Hoover, number 2 is Roosevelt, number 3 is Truman, number 4 is Eisenhower, and you go all the way down to the end of the 12 wings, and the last wing is Bill Clinton. Now at this point, the contrary feathers start. And again, I don't know what the contrary means. I'll just leave.
So right, so there are 12 regular wings or feathers, and like she said, that's used interchangeably in the prophecy. And then there are 8 what are called contrary feathers. And so this first grouping was just talking about the regular feathers, and now we're going to talk about the contrary feathers, the smaller feathers, or whatever contrary means.
Leave it up to everyone's imagination, but the contrary starts with George W. Bush. Now, the number of contrary feathers is actually 8. Only 2 of them appear on this eagle. The rest of them appear on the other eagle. And of all the things in the prophecy, this was the hardest thing to parse out, is where these 8 guys fit. So if you want to check that out, just check out 2nd Esdras chapter 11, verses 22 to 23, and it will tell you why there's 2 on this eagle and 6 on the second eagle. So on this eagle, we started going contrary. In the second view of the eagle, it's definitely contrary. So as I mentioned before, the vision changes, and this time on the eagle, there are 6 small contrary feathers whose times are small and years are swift. What also differentiates this eagle from the other one is great strivings appear to the point where the kingdom shall stand in peril of failing. Nevertheless, it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to his, or to the eagle's beginning. So look at who is number 15. Wouldn't you know it? So Donald Trump is number 15. He brings us great strivings in peril. But the kingdom did not fall. The scriptures, or 11:26 says about him that he was set up, but shortly appeared no more, which is true. He was only there for 4 years. All right, let's see what the prophecy says about Biden. And the second was sooner away than the first. So you can expect that if this prophecy is true, and if it is about America, then Biden will not make it to the end of his term. It sounds like he's going to...
Now, she recorded this in 2019. And isn't this interesting? Biden obviously has not made it to the end of his term. Some people are even arguing that he's dead, or at least incapacitated, and what we're seeing is a body double, and that could very well be. But whether he's dead or not, we are definitely in the situation where he is not the one who's making any of the decisions, and has not been for a very long time. So you could definitely argue that he had a short time as president. Sorry about that. I had to go turn off my husband's alarm. He was busy sleeping through it. And like I said, I can't use my hot buttons, so this is pretty clunky. But it just is what it is.
Perish, or somehow other, leave office early. And then something interesting happens. So at this point, the middle head, all 3 heads have been resting, but at this point, the middle head wakes up. The middle head has a conversation with the right heads and the left head, or the right head and the left head, and convinces the right and the left head to work together in collusion to eat up the next 2 kings that want to reign. And the reason they wake up is they see who is poised to reign after Biden, and they don't like it. And so they work in collusion to get rid of those 2 leaders. So number 17, he is eaten up and he perishes. Same thing with a...
So this could very easily be Kamala, right? And then, of course, we don't know who 18 is right now.
With president number 18, this middle head that woke up, works with the right and left heads in collusion, and they eat up this king and he perishes. Now, something interesting happens after that. And you'll see that...
Or these 2 that are eaten up could even be President Trump and Kamala, who knows, who are contending right now for that position.
This is when the middle head dies. All right, now I think the middle head actually is Congress. So what could be so catastrophic that Congress dies? Now read 19 and 20 as well. That these last two presidents, they are kept to the end to lead a small kingdom full of trouble. So in addition to Congress dying, the population of the U.S. is going to become a small kingdom.
Now, this actually is what we learn also in the book of Isaiah. Actually, in lots of places, but I'm just going to go to Isaiah because we can just go there really quickly. So it tells us about the daughter of Zion, who I do believe the book of Isaiah, literally from beginning to end, is mainly, although some of these things did happen in the past, the whole story is there as types and shadows, and it is the story I am really believing of the United States, because that is where the New Jerusalem is going to be established. So the book of Isaiah is all about the strivings from beginning to end of preparing a people and a place for the coming forth of the New Jerusalem on the earth. And at the beginning of this story, of these strivings, you have the daughter of Zion being addressed, not the original Zion. Okay, so this is not the old kingdom. These are the descendants. This is the daughter of Zion that is being addressed in this one. And they're being called evildoers, a people laden with iniquity, backwards. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faints, from the sole of the foot even to the head. I mean, it's not good. So the daughter of Zion. So then he comes to verse 8 and tells us what's going to happen. Okay, so the daughter of Zion is left as a booth in a vineyard, as a hut in a garden of cucumbers. Okay, so this is a way of describing her as a besieged city. Unless Yahweh Sabaoth had left to us what? A very small remnant. We would have become like Sodom. We would have been made like Gomorrah. And then it goes through and it tells us how this great destruction is going to happen. So we have the invasion of the Assyrian at some point. We have in Isaiah 28 a great scourge, a great desolating scourge that's going to come upon the land. That it actually says, hang on. Speaking of this scourge that's going to come upon the people, Isaiah 28:19 says, as often as it goes out, it will take you. For morning by morning it will pass over, and by day and by night it will be a terror, just to understand the report. So there's going to be this terrible illness. Also, if you go to, let me see, I think it's Isaiah 10. Right, and then another thing that's going to happen is just general unrest. It says here, it's Isaiah 9, not 10. Anyway, it says, and the land is burned up, and the people shall be as fuel for the fire. No man shall spare his brother. And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall devour on the left hand and not be satisfied. Every man shall eat the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh shall devour Ephraim, and Ephraim Manasseh. Together they shall be against Judah. So there's just going to be just complete civil unrest. Okay, now let's listen some more.
So, I mean, if this prophecy is true, we are butting up against a very dangerous time in America. What ultimately happens to the eagle? Well, after the middle head dies, the right head devours the left head, and a lion emerges from the forest and reproves the eagle, and then the eagle is burned. Let's go to the eagle heads. I don't believe that these three heads are three individuals or external governments. I definitely believe that it is our executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. They have dominion over the earth in the last days and reign with, these are the quotes, unrighteousness, much oppression, cruelty, and wickedness. For these heads are they that shall accomplish his, or the eagle's, wickedness, and shall finish his last end. So in case you're wondering how the Lord feels about America right now, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like where we are. He thinks we're cruel, wicked, etc. Now, the middle head. Why do I think the middle head is our legislative branch? Here are the details that lead me to believe that. So this head puts the whole earth in fear. It rules with oppression and has the governance of the world more than all the wings. So if it's more than the wings, it means it's not the wings. So the wings are ruled out, which means it's either going to be the legislative branch or the judicial branch. And, because the legislative branch is the one making the laws, I really think it's them. So other characteristics of the middle head: it wakes, it colludes with the left and right heads, eats up 2 end-time presidents when the leaders had thought about becoming the president, and they don't want those 2 people to reign, or at least to reign long, and that prospect alarms them, and so they get rid of them somehow. And then all of a sudden, Congress, this middle head, appears no more. We're told that it dies upon its bed with pain. To me, that sounds like some kind of a biological attack. Now, I know that we've got COVID-19 right now, but this sounds a lot stronger because COVID-19 is not wiping us out to the point where we're a small kingdom. So I think it could be some type of a biological attack. It could also be some type of a major national disaster. Those are my 2 going theories. It could be martial law, military.
So, and like I just read to you from Isaiah 28, I'm thinking it is a biological thing that happens. It is going to be a desolating sickness, I believe.
Take over, I don't know. But hard times are ahead. I think that's what this prophecy is telling us. Now, the right head also continues in its wickedness. It devours or slays the judicial branch by sword, and it remains to the end, ruling a small kingdom full of trouble. But at the last, he shall fall through the sword himself. So eventually, all 3 heads of the eagle die. And I already mentioned the left head. The judicial branch, it's devoured and slain. For the sword of one shall devour the other. I thought it was interesting about the symbolism of the sword. So Christ often talks about slaying people with the sword of his mouth. And it's those laws that we either live by that save us or that we reject that damn us. And so by these laws, I feel like we've corrupted the government, and that is what helps it just to fall. It falls apart. So we kill it from within. We sabotage our own government.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is actually really good. I do think we should talk about this reproof. So we'll go ahead and finish this.
So this is what Christ says to the eagle. He says, "You've been deceitful and have not judged the earth with truth. You've afflicted the meek, hurt the peaceable, loved your liars, destroyed the dwellings of those that brought forth fruit, and cast down the walls," or destroyed the protections and security of those that did thee no harm.
Right. So how many governments has our CIA destroyed? That would be destroying the walls, right? The protections, the governments of groups of peoples. If you just do a little bit of a dive, you're going to find that our CIA has overthrown many governments around the world and caused extreme chaos for the people that were living in those countries.
Very malicious eagle. Your proud times, behold, they are ended. Therefore appear no more, thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, that the earth may be refreshed. He also tells the eagle
that the earth may be refreshed. Let's look really quickly again at Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah 24, starting in verse 4. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. The haughty people of the earth languish. The earth is defiled under its inhabitants because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. So his people, those who profess his name, have transgressed his laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore, the curse has devoured the earth, and those who dwell in it are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned.
He also tells the eagle that he's going to upbraid them with their cruelty. In other words, what you've been dishing out to others, you're going to get back in heaps. So it's payback time and life in judgment, which means you will experience these penalties, this payback in this lifetime. And as I mentioned before, it's likely some type of war, pestilence, famine, natural disasters, anything that interrupts our supply chain or kills us, etc. We're told that Christ's people will be delivered with mercy. So he is going to spare the righteous. And at the end, I mentioned the whole body of the eagle is burned.
So that is the message constantly throughout all of the prophets, is that he says, but tell my people not to fear. So whether it's the Assyrian, or whether it's the desolating scourge, or whether it is the unrest among the people, or the destruction of their leaders, tell my people, over and over he says, tell my people not to fear. I think I'm going to finish with a verse that I had pulled up. I think it's here in Hosea. Hang on, let me find it real quick. So in the book of Hosea, it's talking about that great destruction. But then he interrupts the narrative for a moment here, starting in Hosea 11:8. My heart churns within me, my sympathy is stirred. I will not execute the fierceness of my anger. I will not again destroy Ephraim, for I am God and not man, the Holy One in your midst, and I will not come with terror. So, yes, he tells us that in Jeremiah, that to Ephraim in particular, he says, I will not let you go wholly unpunished, because what we have done, the crimes that we've committed against our God, are terrible. But those who have a contrite heart, have a broken heart and a contrite spirit, who love his laws and who want to be righteous, and to follow the Lamb wherever he goes, we will be spared through these calamities. And I just felt so strongly that because we are butting against this last hour, when all of this wrath, now this isn't the wrath that's poured out upon the whole earth, okay? But this is chastisement. That's probably a better word. When this chastisement is about to come upon Ephraim in his land, which is code word Egypt in the book of Isaiah, which happens to be all of the Gentile nations, but the head of the Gentile nations is the United States, and that is where physically the New Jerusalem is going to begin. Eventually, the New Jerusalem is going to cover the entire earth. And then I will remind you that if you go into the book of Zechariah, those who might be upset with me because I'm not talking about the land of Judah, the land of Judah, where Jerusalem is today, will also be renewed and restored. But the tents of Jacob, look in Zechariah, it tells you that, are going to be restored first. And the tents of Jacob are the believers among the Gentiles. I think that's about all that I have for today. I hope you found this valuable in your walk. I pray that you won't fear. Just don't fear. He's going to make us like an ox with horns of iron and hooves of brass, that mounting up on wings of eagles, and renewing our strength is almost here. So don't faint.